Hey, I'm Bob. Been totally blind since birth, and I'm into Power Rangers. Remember to share, like, subscribe, notification button, all that YouTube stuff. So I feel like playing around of Hasbro should make that in terms of Power Rangers items. Well, I guess in this case it would be a HasLab item. So I see I am not the only one who wants this particular item to be a HasLab project. Ever since I was a kid, I have always wanted a moon palace to display our villains in. And I don't know how big this thing would have to be. I don't know if it would just be an interior. I would certainly love a changeable exterior as well, because in season one, from what I've been able to glean from articles online, the palace had a Bandora sign and it had a little tower. In season two, when Zedd took it over, it had more of a chrome design and the little tower was gone. I would love an exterior as well as an interior. That would have to be a massive undertaking, though, and that would probably have to take up an entire room. I have no idea. So, interior would be more feasible, I would say. And let's see, the balcony where Rita would stand, that's a necessity when it comes to the Moon Palace. Of course, you could have her repulsoscope as an accessory. We haven't gotten one of those yet. So Rita can observe events on Earth. And she does ride a bicycle. I guess you'd call it a repulsor bike. So, I mean, Moon Palace could come with that as a little vehicle. Of course, this could be a figure and vehicle 2-pack in the deluxe line. I mean, we already have an Omega Ranger with Cycle, so, I guess it would be cool to have a Rita Repulsa and Repulsa bike too. I don't know. I'd like to see it come with the Moon Palace, though. Oh, what else do we need? The Chamber of Command. Of course, you have to have one of those for Lord Zedd. So I was thinking you could have the chamber have these red lights that would pop on, so you could have your Chamber of Command changing color along with Lord Zedd's mood. I'm guessing the chamber turned red right along with Zedd. I don't have any descriptive audio tracks to these episodes, but that would be an interesting feature to have. Possibly some sound effects too for, that electric current going on whenever Zedd would get really peeved. Of course, your throne would have to rotate 360. I would like a snake accessory as well, so we could recreate that scene, that first scene where Zedd arrived in the Mutiny Part 1, before he turned his snake into a staff. So maybe it could be a fully posable snake. I don't know if it slithered up the arm of his throne as it was approaching him, or how that worked, but something to recreate that early scene with Lord Zedd. Of course, you could have the little alcoves where Squat and Babu were in. They would peek out of little holes in the wall. I don't know if we'd get a Squat and Babu with the Moon Palace, or if they could come in a 2-pack in the deluxe line. You'd have to have them in a 2-pack. I love those two goofballs. The Workshop of Finster. You'd have to have that in the Moon Palace. Of course, that would have a Monster-matic. Probably have an opening and closing section for that Monster-matic. I would like to see some little monster clay models that Finster was working on. You could have some of those you could place on workbenches or tables. I don't know what the background of his workshop, what that looks like. You could have this one particular scene I remember was when Rita would, she stepped on a certain model of a monster, a clay model, and she squished it. So it'd be kind of cool to have an interchangeable section of floor, so you could have a section of floor that was bare, and then you could have one that you could replace with like that squished clay monster that she'd stepped on. You could even put a little foot peg there or something so she could be standing on it. Of course, you could have the fully formed little clay monster model too in the workshop. Lights and sounds. I would love, sounds would be good for me. Lights would be good for everybody in terms of Rita's palace. I don't know. I really do like the idea of Zedd's Chamber of Command able to turn red. If there are no sound effects, that's okay, but yeah, you can make it light up. So when I was a kid and when I owned my 1995 Bandai Serpentera, when he was in his very long, very serpentine mode, he had this little port toward the end of his tail, this little connector port. I never knew what that was supposed to be used for. I always assumed we were going to be getting a moon palace and you could actually park Serpentera somewhere outside. If those of you own the toy, still own that toy, and know what I'm talking about, well, yeah, you get the idea. He's got this little port toward the end of his tail. So if we ever get a HasLab Moon Palace and a HasLab Serpentera, sold separately, of course, that would be interesting to be able to park Serpentera somewhere on the outskirts of the palace. Anywho, it's just me daydreaming about ginormous playsets. It'd be awesome to have sound effects ripped directly from the show. You could have putty noises that you could turn on and off. I don't know. It's just me being an old 90s guy when playsets or big dioramas would have sound effects and things like that. Star Wars certainly spoiled me when I was a kid. Of course, we did have sound effects that went along with some of our Power Rangers Zords and role-playing items back then too. So I would think sound effects that went along with the Moon Palace could be done. You could have some phrases of Rita and Zedd ripped directly from the show. Other noises. Anywho, that'll do for this particular video. I would have talked about the Caves of Deception located beneath the palace, but oh boy, I guess that would have to be another video in itself. So I will hear you guys in the next Power Rangers related video, and hopefully one of these days Hasbro does make that in terms of a Moon Palace. May the power protect you all, and I'll hear you next time.